Hey you guys, nice to see you again. I got a couple minutes here and I'm looking at a subject that is a big subject. I mean, we could easily spend days and weeks on it, but I want to just condense a couple of things about it in a few minutes here. It's about geoengineering, and people are asking all the time, what's the real reason this is going on? A lot of them have the idea that it's to try to cool down the planet, because that's what the fake scientists say all the time. Well, we might have to do this, spraying this stuff and preventing the sunlight from reaching the earth, because it's going to cool down the planet and we have this big problem of global warming. That's what the fake scientists say all the time. That's what the UN says. That's what, you know, the people who have other things in mind. And the question is, what's really going on? And so I want to clarify, first of all, I'm not on the board of directors of the meetings of the people that plan the spray patterns for the day and the different recipes. If you've listened to Russ Tanner on our show and others, you know that they're not just spraying the same thing everywhere on the planet. They have recipes that are good for certain things in their mind. If, you know, they might want to cause droughts or floods or different kinds of electrical conditions, or blow up forests with forest fires. They put a lot of particulate metals there. So when those guys are having their meetings about planning the schedules for the spraying, they don't invite me, okay, for obvious reasons, and they would not want me there, and I'll tell you why at the end of this video. But the reasons for the spraying, and listen, if I look down, it's not because I forgot where the camera is or anything. It's because I wrote myself a few bullet point notes, because I don't want to forget anything. It's such a vast topic, and I'd rather do it without looking at notes, but I don't want to forget anything because it holds together. It's so important that I want to convey as much as possible in a couple of minutes so that you can digest it and do as you want with it. Anyway, the reasons for the spraying, they're really pretty obvious, okay? It's just that we've been trained not to have common sense anymore, not to observe things. Thanks to our educational system, kids are being trained not to think. Even older kids and PhD people and medical doctors, they're trained to memorize instead of think, and there's a big difference. Memorizing acceptable information is not science, you guys. It's the opposite, okay? It's called cult programming and brainwashing, but that's another subject. They're just all tied together. So we're taught to be so specialized and narrow in our focus of understanding that we're not going to understand the obvious context of things that are going on. And education that focuses on specialization prepares you to be a tool of the system to get a great job destroying the earth in some way or hurting other people, which are where most of the good career opportunities seem to be right now, financially speaking. So this is why we don't look at things and see what's obvious. But let me just apply this to geoengineering. When you look at what the geoengineering and the spraying, high altitude spraying does to weather patterns and therefore climate, it messes it all up. It's not to cover up destruction of the weather, it's to make it worse. It's to make it as much worse as they can. And so, you know, it's obviously not cooling down the whole planet. You've got air. Just look at the beautiful maps that are on geoengineeringwatch.org. You've got like half of America super hot one day and other half a lot colder than normal. What it's doing is it's making us extremes. It's disrupting the normal flow of air and wind, the trade winds, so-called trade winds and everything. And it's inventing new wind patterns like polar vortices, which I never saw before just a little while ago. And ice in the middle of the summer, creating the ice with chemicals, making it really toxic. And I've seen it hail at 70 degrees. And it's not cold air right above us either. It's just warm air. And it hails anyway. That's not normal. So what they're doing, obviously, is making the weather much less normal and much more erratic. Many more extremes, floods and droughts, stuff like that. Second of all, and I'm skipping through this as fast as I can because I know I don't want to keep you too long. Second, it's obviously poisoning the land, including all the agricultural land. It's poisoning the food, it's poisoning the water, it's poisoning the air. The people who are doing it are not stupid enough to do this by mistake. They like to have programs that accomplish many goals. The poisoning is not an unwanted side effect. It's a major desired effect. And it helps the GMO industry and all kinds of things, but it's gradually making the earth unlivable. And it's not even just to blow up the forests with explosive fires by putting powdered metals on the trees so they just burn like explosions. It's also got biological agents in it, which are not to cover up weather change, okay? They're to poison you further. They've got dried blood cells in there, biological agents, nanotech of various kinds, cross-domain bacteria. Just listen to Lost Arts Radio Archives with Clifford Carnicom and other people who have gone into this deeply. He's probably the main one, but several of us have done a lot with it. So these two major programs disrupt the weather, make people more worried about climate change and global warming and stuff like that, and poison the environment, including all life, not just people, all life. So it's extremely obvious, or it should be, if we're still able to observe and understand. Sorry for the waving. I'm not actually waving at the bugs. I'm trying to get rid of them here. So it's extremely obvious, but why? Why are they doing it? Why do they want extreme weather? Well, climate change and global warming are the big selling points for tyranny, or some of them. And the more worried you are about global warming destroying the earth, the theory is, the more you'll be willing to accept giving up your rights and taking on tyranny in all its forms. That's the reason why they want climate change and global warming unmistakably as bad as possible. And that makes you theoretically subservient, so that you'll do what you have to save the earth and give up national sovereignty, give up personal freedoms and all that. As far as poisoning the earth, it's irrevocable type of poisoning. It's getting rid of species. It's causing extinctions, which are happening faster and faster. It's making it so food won't grow. It's making it so water's not safe to drink. It's making, some people are even saying it's not safe to go out in the sun anymore. Although if you stop doing that, the damage is so much worse from not going in the sun anymore. That's another subject too. Anyway, it's not just to reduce population, which is a common misconception among the so-called elite. They think that, actually they're told that their population numbers will be reduced and they'll be in the remnant. They'll get all the passwords and the antidotes to the damage. No, this is irrevocable damage they're doing, you guys. It's not something you do if you want the world to be livable afterwards. They don't have some secret way to heal it. They're telling people up to a certain level that they do, so that they'll go along with it, but they don't. So those at the top know population reduction is only a step to the end game. It's not the end game. The end game is total extermination of life on this planet. And it's not at that level. Obviously, that's not about money, right? Because you can't do very good business if there's no life on the planet, with money anyway. So if we don't see it, that it's a systematic total extermination, it's because we don't want to see it, and it's too emotionally threatening, which I totally understand. I'm not criticizing anybody coming from that point of view. A lot of people see it as negative to even look at it. And why do I say systematic extermination? Because, again, trying to be quick here, and I'm almost out of time. If it was quick extermination they wanted, they have the technology to do that right now quickly. And it could be done overnight. It could be done in the next hour, or probably less. And they're not doing that, and they could. But they're doing it step by step in an irrevocable manner over time. And the reason they're doing that, we'll talk about elsewhere. But I'll tell you right now, it's not about money or temporal power or anything like that. So those are the reasons. So why would they not want me on the geoengineering board meeting, deciding who to spray with what today, where to leave it, no spraying, and where to cause horrible storms and droughts and floods? Because I would tell them, these arrogant elite people who think they're the elite, these executioners, listen guys, you're the victims, because the other people that you're killing, they just die. but you're creating an account and you don't understand there are laws of nature, nothing to do with religions or philosophies or what you believe or don't believe. These laws of nature do not just work if you believe in them, they work all the time. It's how this place was designed. And one of them is that whatever we do to or for other people intentionally comes back to us multiplied, so that we get to learn why that's a good or a bad thing to do. And if you're killing whole planets intentionally, that's what they call not really good karma. And they might laugh and say, that's just silly people, they don't know the real power of the dark side, as the Emperor, and Darth Vader said. But the dark side is tiny compared to the real side. And there are laws of nature that don't go away, even if you think you're in the elite. So I would, invite any of them that are receptive at all, and I don't know whether any would, reconsider what you're doing. And that would be a total party pooper for the meeting. They couldn't enjoy the usual festive spirit of how to destroy the next stage of life on Earth. But they're not going to invite me to be there. So what can you do for now? They want you to feel totally helpless, like you can't do anything, that all you can do is rely on experts, and these experts are trying so hard to save you, and if they're spraying in the air, it's to stop global warming for your benefit, and all this kind of nonsense. What they won't tell you, which is much more than the secret of why they're geoengineering, which they don't want you to know either, because you might get upset at them for that. The bigger secret is who you are. And I'm sorry if it sounds naive and silly and like nothing. It's not nothing. It's the biggest secret that I found in a lot more than 50 years of research, and I need to share it with you in case any of you are open to it. If you want to see what you can really do based on who you really are, I would suggest starting by fixing up your health. Learn the laws of nature that are being hidden, that you can use without authorities of any kind to get back that ageless energy, and feeling good is your normal state. It doesn't matter how old you are. What's called normal is just because it's common. It's because things are being not understood, but normal and common are not the same thing. So learn how things work, protect your health, get it back, shake off that lazy, low energy, and complacent kind of feeling that, there's nothing we can do, everything's helpless. That's a scam, you guys. It's not true at all. And I would recommend to start now. Find out the biggest secret that's being hidden from you. Find out what your abilities really are based on who you are. You're such a powerful global healing consciousness that it can't be put in words. And they're not worried about it because they figure you'll never figure it out. You're so brainwashed and programmed and caught up in all this stuff, and they have reason to believe that, but who you are is not going away. You will eventually find it. So I suggest find it now. If you want to join other people who are working on that, check out lostartsradio.com/club. Otherwise, if you're not interested in that, just watch for the free videos. I'll put in as much information as I can share publicly in those. And remember, the Sunday night guest shows are still free. All the archives are there at lostartsradio.com. And new Saturday show in the afternoon right before the Planetary Healing Club meeting. But get into the meeting if you can. lostartsradio.com/club. And it's weird. I know I'm way over time. I'm going to shut up in a second. But in spite of the fact that things are much worse than most people know, by far, because they intend to, totally exterminate life. The funny thing about that is that doesn't have to make you feel bad. You don't have to be sick because of geoengineering or because of 5G or any of that stuff. Learn how to overcome those things and then build on that and see what you can really do. You're not going to feel bad. And we've got stuff we can work on if you're open to it. So if you are, I'll see you on Saturday at the club meeting. Otherwise, have a great week and watch for the next video. Talk to you soon.